It'll be first and goal. Oh, picked off!
Too many
Will
times.
Johnson, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, seals it for Michigan.
It's the biggest game of the week, and it's taking place in the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hello, everybody. You're listening to the College Sports Superfan, and today we're previewing the top 10 showdown between number 3 Texas and number 10 Michigan as the Longhorns moved up one spot in the polls due to Oregon's poor play against Idaho, and then Michigan dropped one spot in the polls because of their not super impressive performance against Fresno State. And we're going to get into all of that here. But first, I wanted to say before we get into anything else that we once again will have a special guest picker at the end of this video that's going to help me predict and preview this game and help me predict who's going to win this massive top 10 showdown. So stay tuned for that at the very end of the video. But let's get into this real quick. Texas dominated Colorado State for its second largest blowout shutout, 52-0 was the score, in the last 100 years. So this Texas team might be one of the best Texas teams we've seen in a long, long time. And that's saying something based on how amazing they were last season. Quinn Ewers had 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. In the second half, Arch Manning came in and everybody went crazy. He had 95 yards and a passing touchdown, and he also had a short rushing touchdown. So Texas has 2 incredible quarterbacks. They could go to either one of them. Obviously, Ewers is the better one right now, and they could win football games. Michigan, on the other hand, doesn't. They just straight up, they don't have a good quarterback at all. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's kind of interesting, the opposite scenario. The tragedy for Texas heading into the season was C.J. Baxter, who's going to be a superstar running back. He unfortunately tore his ACL. He's going to be out for the whole season. He tore his ACL in practice. So, unfortunately, they don't have their superstar running back, and that could be a weakness for this Texas team heading down the season. But it was reassuring to see that they got 2 solid running backs they could go to. Freshman Jarek Gibson, who has a lot of speed, is a guy who's got immense potential, 67 yards and a touchdown in this game against Colorado State. And then Jaden Blue got the majority of the carries. He's more of the veteran. He had 57 yards. So they can kind of go between the 2 of those guys. They've got some other guys like Wisner, who's the 3rd string running back. So they have a bit more of a rotation, but they don't really have that superstar running back on their team. However, the passing game on the offense is so elite. I really don't think they need to run the ball all that much, just a little bit just to mix things up. The wide receiver group has Isaiah Bond, 61 yards and a touchdown. He came in from Alabama. Matthew Golden, who came in from Houston, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked fantastic. And Ryan Wingo, the super talented freshman wide receiver, had 70 yards. All along this receiving group, they've got lots of weapons. They even have Silas Bolden, who came in from Miami, who is seldom used, but even he could be a great receiver on this team. And they have an amazing offensive line, headlined by lineman Kelvin Banks, who could be a top 10 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. On defense, they also looked very, very good as, again, they shut out Colorado State to win this game. A Colorado State team that supposedly was going to have a pretty solid offense. They could go 6-6, maybe 7-5 this year. So this isn't a bad Rams team. It's just the Texas team was just way too good. Meanwhile, Michigan, some serious concerns. They did beat Fresno State 30-10. One of those scores was a pick 6, though, from arguably the best player in all of college football, Will Johnson, who read the ball perfectly. One of the most perfectly read pick 6s I think I've ever seen. I think you'll ever see. But that was one of the scores. The Michigan offense really, really struggled. At the quarterback position, Davis Warren was named the starter. He beat out Alex Orji, which was a little bit of a shock to me. I thought Orji was going to be the starting quarterback, but Davis Warren was the starter, and he was mediocre. He had 118 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He got pulled early on, and they put in Alex Orji, But the thing is, Orji just looked so much worse. He had a 3-yard passing touchdown to Donovan Edwards on a rollout, and he had 32 yards rushing. But that was literally it. I mean, he just did not do well at all, and they pulled him instantly and put Warren back in for the rest of the game. So I think we're going to see Davis Warren start against Texas, but a little concerning. And then Donovan Edwards, who was supposed to be one of the biggest stars in college football this season, he's one of the 3 guys on the EA college sports video game here, and he's going up against one of the other guys in Quinn Ewers. But Edwards only had 27 yards rushing against Fresno State. That's a little concerning. He had the 3-yard receiving touchdown, but he had just 27 yards. And it actually became Khalil Mullings who emerged as the main running back, and he had 92 yards rushing in this game. I think Mullings is going to be the starting running back against Texas. He just looked much better than Donovan Edwards. He's a senior as well, who's waited his turn. So if Edwards figures it out, though, Michigan could have a very impressive 1-2 punch, just like they had with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards over the last couple of years. Here is one very major positive for Michigan's offense, and that's Colston Loveland. The tight end receiver hybrid had 8 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. He just caught everything. I mean, the passes weren't even that great. He was still leaping out and catching the ball. So he is arguably the biggest superstar they have on offense. But the concern is none of the other receivers shined at all. I mean, Loveland took up all the attention, and none of the other receivers played well at all against a mediocre Fresno State team. That just doesn't bode very well for me. So, what do I think is going to happen in this game? Well, a lot of people, are thinking about possibly picking Michigan, as Texas is only a 7.5-point favorite. And I've gone back and forth whether I think Texas will win in a close one or whether they'll win by a lot. But I really think Texas is going to win this game by 10. Yes, it's a crazy environment. Yes, it's going to be electric. But you know what? This Texas team last year, they went on the road to play Alabama in week 2 at night, and they were the underdog, and they beat the Crimson Tide by 10. I'm looking at this game. I think Texas goes into the big house. Could be close for a little bit because Michigan's defense is still top tier. But I think Texas is going to win a low-scoring battle by 10 points. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, we have a special guest picker coming up, and she's going to make her prediction whether she thinks Texas or Michigan is going to win. So let's get it right into that. And you're listening to the College Sports Superfan. All right, Miss Bud, we've got Texas and Michigan as the blueberry. Which one is BUNLEE gonna pick? Oh my gosh, she's thinking Texas. She does. She picks Texas to go into the big house and take down the Wolverines. Great pick, Miss BUNLEE. We're on the same page on that one.